Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ezine and on this channel I make sewing tutorials. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a flare shirt dress, and for the sleeves, I'm going to be using these sleeves here. So it's a bit of a puff sleeve and it has a slit opening in the middle. So if you find this video helpful, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any questions, you can leave us in the comment section. I also have a playlist with a couple of videos showing you how to make a shirt, and I'll be linking that up here so you can check that after you're done watching this video. With that being said, let's get into the tutorial. To make the dress, I made use of 3 yards of this brown cotton fabric, some leftover cotton lace that I'll be using for the collar, white plain cotton. I'm going to be overlaying the lace on the plain white fabric, a matching thread and buttons. For the back pattern, I drafted my basic bodice pattern and added seam allowance to it. I also added a ½ inch ease on the bust and a ¼ inch ease on the waist. Now for the front pattern, same as the back, I drafted my basic bodice and added my seam allowance and ease. For the button placket, now the desired size that I want is a 3/4 inch, and so I'm going to mark 3/8 inch on either side of the center front, and I'm just drawing in the lines for visualization's sake. So this is the intended position for the placket, and for this dress I'm going to be attaching a separate placket to it. Now this would be the sewing line as it is the start of the placket. So I'm going to be using this section as my seam allowance to attach the placket, and I'll be cutting out my fabric with the pattern as it is. Now for the placket pattern, I'm going to fold over my paper in two, and from the edge I'm going to measure and mark 3/4 inch, and then I'm going to add 3/8 inch for the seam allowance. I'm going to be attaching this to the center front like so, and of course the length would be the length of the full dress. For the skirt, I'm going to be demonstrating this on paper, but I'm going to actually do this on my main fabric itself. On your fabric, you have the width and the length, and you're going to fold it over like this. Now with this formula, you're going to determine the radius of the skirt, and from the top of the fabric, you're going to put in that measurement. And with your tape still at the top of the fabric, you're going to measure and mark the length of the skirt. Then I added a ½ inch at the top for my sewing allowance. And you're going to ensure that the length of your skirt is inclusive of your hemming allowance. So this could be 1 inch or 3/4 inch. So this would be the skirt, and you're going to cut out 2 pieces, one for the back and one for the front. Now for the back skirt, because this is cut on fold, these sides would be your side seams. But for the front, because when you fold your fabric, this part will be on the bias, and that means it will be stretchy. So you're going to make this side to be at the center front because it has no stretch, and that's where your placket will be. And you want your placket to end up being straight as opposed to it being put on the stretchy part of your fabric. Now for the collar stand and the collar patterns, I have a detailed video where I show you how to draft this. So I'm going to be linking it up above, and so you can check it out later. The only difference is that I curved the edge of this collar as opposed to it being a sharp edge. This is the back top, and I've cut out one piece on fold, and I also transferred my darts to my fabric. This is the front top, and I've cut out 2 pieces. I transferred the darts as well. For the skirt, this is for the back, one piece unfold and two pieces for the front. And as I said earlier, this side is stretching while this side has no stretch. So this side will be at the center front. Now this is my placket, one piece for the right and the other for the left. And I've put interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric. And of course, the length is the total length of your dress. Now for the collar, I cut out two pieces for the lace and two pieces for the underlaying plain fabric. For the collar stand, I cut out two pieces and I put interfacing on the wrong side of it. I also made notches at the shoulder mark and where the collar would start and stop. All these are indicated in the other video where I drafted the pattern. Now we're going to begin sewing, and the first thing we're going to do is to pin your darts and sew them. After sewing, you're going to press them towards the center of the top. And when you're done with the back, you're going to do the same thing for the front pieces. Now we're going to be joining the top to the skirt at the waistline. So you're going to pin that together and sew it. After sewing it, I use my machine to do a zigzag stitch to finish the raw edge. Alternatively, you can use your overlocker to do this. Then we're going to press it with the allowance towards the skirt side. After we're done with both the front and the back, we will be attaching the placket to the front. On one side of the placket, I'm going to make a stay stitch of 3/8 of an inch, then use that as a guideline to fold it over and press it. After doing that, I'm going to attach the right side of the unfolded part to the wrong side of the dress front using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to press the seam allowance inside so that when we do our top stitch, it's going to be accurate and neat. After doing this, I'm going to sew the folded part of the placket on the right side of the dress front, making sure to cover slightly the previous stitch that we made that is underneath. This is what it should look like after you're done, and you're going to do the same thing for the right side. And the difference between the two is that on the right side I made a stitch on the edge of the placket. Now I'm going to join the front and the back at the shoulder and at the side seams. After sewing it, I finished the raw edge of the shoulder seam with a zigzag stitch, and I pressed it with the seam allowance towards the back top. And for the collar, I've got the lace and the plain fabrics, and on one of the plain ones I've put interfacing on the wrong side, and that was what I'll be using as my under collar. Using hemming gum, I'm going to be attaching the lace to the plain fabric, and all I'll do is to cut out strips of the hemming gum, lay it on the plain fabric, then lay the lace on top of it and then press it. The steam would melt the gum and then attach the two fabrics. Now we're going to do this for the two collar pieces. So as I said earlier, the collar with the interfacing would be our under collar, while the one without any interfacing is going to be the top collar. You're going to place the two collars together with the right side facing and then sew it. Now after sewing it, we're going to trim the allowance around the curved side and then turn it over to the right side. You're going to press it in this way, opening the seams as you go. Then when you're pressing it on the right side, you're going to press it so that you push the under collar so that it doesn't show from the top side of the collar. Now that we're done with the collar, we're going to move over to the collar stand. On one of the collar stand, I'm going to make a stay stitch of 3/8 of an inch and then use that as a guide to fold it over and press it. And this is it all done. And we're going to attach the collar to the collar stand. So I'm going to place the right side of the under collar facing the right side of the unfolded collar stand, and then I'm going to put the right side of this folded one on top of it, just like you can see me doing. Now we're going to pin this, making sure to match up the center notches and the notch indicating where the collar would start and stop. Now after sewing this, we're going to trim the seam allowance at the curve, then turn this over to the right side and press it. Now we're going to attach the stand to the dress. So you're going to pin the right side of the stand to the right side of the dress, and you're going to use your center notches and your shoulder notches to make sure that it's all aligned. Now after sewing this, we're going to press the seam allowance inside the stand, and I'm going to be doing this from the back side like so. Now on the machine, we're going to make a top stitch starting from about half of the top of the collar stand, going all around, making sure that you tuck in the seam allowance as you go. And this might seem a bit tricky, so just take your time and try to make it as neat as you possibly can. And this is what it should be looking like after you're done. Then I used my tape to measure the armhole. And to cut out the sleeve, I folded the fabric the same way that I did for the skirt, only that this one won't be as full as the one for the skirt because we don't want it to be very full. Now I'm going to measure half an inch from the center fold and then trace out my sleeve head for my pattern. Then I measured my armhole measurement and added my seam allowance. I'm going to place the tape at the top of my fabric and measure and mark the length of my sleeve, just like I illustrated for the skirt. The total length for my sleeve is 24 inches, and for yours you're going to add 2 inches to your desired length to make the elastic channel. Then I cut it out. I'm also going to be cutting it open at the center fold. Now with the right size of the two pieces together, We're going to measure 7.5 inches from the top and 2 inches from the hem and sew it together using a half an inch of sewing allowance. After sewing, I went ahead to finish the raw edges of the top part that was sewn together, and now I'm going to press it using the iron to press down the seam allowance of the opening. On the machine, I'm going to fold over the seam allowance from the hem and sew it. And when I get to the beginning of the opening, I'm going to turn the fabric and pivot it to the other side and sew that as well. Now after sewing it, we're going to press it. I'm also going to be forming the elastic channel, so I'll fold it over at the hem at 1/4 inch. I'm going to iron that down. Then fold it over again at half an inch. This should be enough for the elastic to pass through. It's easier to form the channel now before joining it at the side seam, so that's why we're doing it like this. Now after you're done with that, you're going to join the sleeve at the side seam. Then sew down the channel, leaving about 2 inches to pass the elastic through. You're going to measure your elastic around your wrist. Then attach it to a bodkin or a safety pin and pass it through the channel. You're going to use a pin to secure it at the end. Then when you've pulled the elastic through the two sides, you're going to take it to your machine and sew it together. After sewing the elastic, you're going to close up the space that was left on the channel. The sleeve is now ready, and you're going to repeat all these processes for the second sleeve. After doing that, you're going to attach the sleeves to the dress. Then we're going to make our buttonholes on the right front of the dress. And I did my buttonhole 1 inch from the neck of the dress, and the others were spaced 3 inches apart from each other. And the size of your buttonhole is dependent on the size of your button. Then you're going to align the left front under it and use a pin or a pencil to mark the position of the button like so, and then sew on the button. A sewing tip for you: always use the same color of thread as your button to sew on the button, even if your button is a different color from your fabric. And another sewing tip, always put a pin in between your thread and button while sewing it, so that after sewing the button, it has a little ease and it would easily button up this way. You're going to go on to attach all the buttons for the entire dress, and to hem it, you're going to just fold it over twice and then sew it. Now for the belt, the length that I used was twice my waist measurement, but in hindsight I feel like I should have made it a bit longer, so you can make yours longer as desired. And the width was 2.5 inches. Now I also curled the ends like this, and I put interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric. I'm going to sew this from one end to the middle. I'm going to leave an opening of about 2.5 inches, then sew it all the other way to the other end. And after sewing it, I pressed it. Now I used a blind stitch to sew close the opening. And with that, the belt is ready, as well as your entire dress. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any questions, you can leave us in the comment section. Make sure you have fun sewing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.